Hello, everyone. Welcome to my feature-length commentary of The Ninth Gate, released in 1999, directed by Roman Polanski, and loosely based on the novel The Club Dumas, written by Arturo Perez Reverte. I'll be commenting on the film as I watch it. Unfortunately, due to copyright reasons, I'm unable to show the movie for you. I suggest you find your copy and play this commentary as we watch it together. My copy of the film is a little over 2 hours and 13 minutes long, and I have it paused on the title screen reading a Roman Polanski film. Before I resume, let me say, kindly hit that like button. It helps me a lot when making a decision to make videos like this one. And if you like, there's a way to leave something in the tip jar below. I don't like shilling, but it will make me smile. Alright, let's get ready to click the play button. In 3, 2, 1. A Roman Polanski film, loosely based on the novel The Club Dumas, written by Arturo Perez Reverte. The first scene opening up the film is a wide shot of Andrew Telfer, though at the time we do not know his name. He looks very dignified sitting behind his desk as the camera pans to a stool in the middle of the room. Camera will tilt up, showing us a noose hanging from the ceiling, and in one smooth camera motion, we know everything we need to know about Andrew Telfer. On his desk is a picture of his wife Lyanna, as it says so in the script, but in my opinion, I do not recognize him from here. He wears rather expensive slippers and steps up onto the stool and helps himself to the rope. He wobbles the stool and takes his last step off from Earth. His left slipper falls to the carpet. There's been some speculation in certain circles that it has some meaning. There are a couple of theories. Unfortunately, I cannot repeat them here on YouTube as it is deemed too controversial. But there is a demonetized video on the channel if you are interested. A letter is left on his desk. Before we take a look at his significant collection of books, and if you haven't gathered, books is a rather important element in the movie. Coming up is a very interesting technique in cinematography. I have discussed it before. It is the use of negative spaces, empty spaces. And it took me a couple viewings, to be honest, to figure out what was supposed to be in there or was once in there. Now we come to nice animation as we will see credits fly over our heads, doors open, or maybe better put, gates. I don't remember when I first watched The Ninth Gate, but it was on satellite TV. I was drawn in by the mood and the tone. It was the engravings and the riddles that pulled me in. Um, it's a very unusual, I think, movie for the time, considering 1999 was the year The Phantom Menace came out. Johnny Depp was known for the Pirates of the Caribbean. And frankly, movies like this are not made too often anymore. I really do enjoy the music. It is haunting at times, others whimsical. It definitely captures the mystery, the flair, and the danger of the unknown. We're flying through one set of doors after another. Now, Roman Polanski both he takes some credit. He shares credit for writing the movie, and it was based on a novel. Arturo Perez Reverte, as we see flying over our heads. Screenplay credits are shared by two others. Roman Polanski gets the third and final. And of course, Polanski gets direction credits as well, and production. Now comes the final gate opening up, and we see bright lights, which is bookended by the end of the film. The opening, pay attention to the opening of New York. This is a shot that mimics Rosemary's Baby. And the camera will pull back through a window, revealing the old man in his wheelchair. Before we see and hear Dean Corso, played by Johnny Depp, in his signature outfit. Now, in the script, the couple in the background, they are described as son and daughter-in-law, and it was a woman in the chair. But the story remains the same about Dean coming over to appraise the old man's collection. I always got a kick out of the daughter-in-law hairstyle, being that this was 1 year shy of the 21st century. And it looks more something you would see in the 70s. I don't know if this was an attempt to remind us of Rosemary's Baby or to show how the couple is sort of aloof or out of it. This scene's also important. We introduce Corso drinking, representing the sin of gluttony. Obviously, the couple is a little bit showing greed for money. And Corso, if you haven't figured it out on your first watch, he is definitely trying to scam them. But the opening scene is it's relevant for it shows how important books are to the story, to Corso. We're already introducing the audience about certain temptations, and being one is wealth. The old man here is certainly not happy. Now coming up is a scene where Corso goes to the elevator. He's approached by Witkin. He is a competitor. Witkin does us a service by telling us what kind of man Corso is. He is going to point and say, scrupulous, totally unscrupulous. And Corso, of course, shows another sin, the one of envy, showing off his books. He's going to visit his friend Bernie. The script and the movie, they use different last names for Bernie. And if you listen carefully, sometimes I'm using the name from the script. That's just from my research. This is very interesting how Bernie is introduced. He's coming in from the top, down the spiral staircase. He's not coming in from stage left or right, but he is making his own appearance. Now they're going to talk shop, and once again, Dean is reinforcing the use of alcohol, how he just helps himself. Not only are they talking shop, but Corso is showing his skills. He is a credible book appraiser, book detective, as he'll be later described. He's good at what he does. He's just sort of kind of shady. And right off the bat, we see that Corso has a history of success. He makes his living researching, tracking, hunting. This is how he makes his living. And his friend is sometimes competitor, sometimes partner. Bernie's trying to do a little chiseling himself. Now you see how Corso snorts out of his nose. We're downtown, a tower. There's a couple beggars outside the front doors. I don't know if they're placed there as a very cheap and efficient way to say, hey, we're downtown, or they're like demons of Balkan. Hey, he walks through the door. The security guard acknowledges him, tells us he's been here before. Now we're introducing Boris Balkan, both by a poster that tells us he owns the building, he has a PhD, he writes books, he gives lectures. Corso makes an entrance from the top. There's also a theme about stairs throughout the film. He sits in the back. We see the girl. And she's introduced by her shoes and socks. Now, if you look very carefully, every single person but the girl and Corso are writing notes, they're carrying pencils, they're paying attention. So obviously, Corso and the girl stand out. The girl, look in the background, she has her hands in her pockets. I've made this observation. Some people say it's a coincidence. Corso is passed out, he's asleep. I think this is a symbol of sloth. Um, he's unwilling to learn. Balkan's given a free lecture. Balkan approaches Corso, and what we see here is Balkan's towering appearance while Corso is slouching, so it's an immediate difference in height. Look at Balkan, look how tall he is. He fills that entire frame. Now, this is the only mention of a Bible, and it's really done in jest as an asset, as something that one would collect. It's the Bibles, Christianity, Western religion is not a focus in the Ninth Gate, while the occult is. Now they're setting up their relationship as they step into the elevator booth. Worst passcode ever. And now they're talking, and we're knowing that they've worked with each other. This is a good technique to not bother with formal introductions. They've known each other. It is us, the audience, who are stepping into the middle of this relationship. The Balkan's horn-rimmed glasses, that's right out of the script. It really suits his personality and hobbies. Right, we're going inside Balkan's office, penthouse, library. Notice, look very hard. You won't see many chairs. And here's an Easter egg over his right shoulder. The Devil's Tower or Devil's Castle. Balkan is kind of bragging that he doesn't let many people see his collection. Balkan's going to punch in his passcode. It's definitely 3 digits, the same number repeated. Now, this formally is the introduction of the occult in the film, and we see it from the top. And Balkan is a mighty serious fellow. His glasses either accentuate his devotion to the Dark Overlord or it's mocking him. I'm speaking from an audience, uh, the point of view. Here he has the Telfer copy, now known as the Balkan copy, placed on a pedestal. Some good history, some back history is told to the audience about the book. Slightly different in what years are used from the script, but it's very effective. It already gives the book a sense of, um, I guess, being special since there's only 3 copies ever made since the year 1666. Now they're exchanging more history back and forth. Here's a introduction of the engraving. At first, it just comes across as a trivial, but we know it's rather important, very important, in fact. Now comes a very interesting scene that I've noticed, but I never put any stock into it. But there is something to be said about Balkan standing far away by the window looking down. It's such random, or it's really in our face that this should be noticed, that even Corso himself will make a comment like, don't you get dizzy standing there? There is a theme in the movie about height. This this is one of the more extremes, but we will see it repeated about how staircases are used and where people live and work. We see the Devil's Tower again in the background as a reflection. This is more subliminal than an Easter egg. Okay, Balkan's paying off Corso. He takes the check. This is greed. This is one of the first steps of greed. Of course, we already know that Corso is susceptible to the lure of money. Now Balkan's already going to put ideas into Corso's head about the limits of getting what he wants. There are no limits. And it's already a hint that Balkan's not just a benefactor. He's a little bit shady himself, but the money, there's so much money that one would overlook his shortcomings or lack of ethics or morality. It's a common, it is a common, I would say, trope in other films. Now we just cut to Corso's apartment. That's very funny. It's also a sign of how food is not important to him, yet alcohol is. Now, in a couple of my videos, I've examined his apartment, his workplace. There's some clues there. Rather, are they intentional or not? I'm unsure, but it's definitely fun to dissect. Once again, he's smoking. He's in fact snorting. He's snorting smoke like a beast. That is a clue, a foreshadow. I really like this shot because the engraving, the knight, is looking at us. He's like breaking the fourth wall. He's making a warning centuries before we need to see it. Okay, Lyanna Telfer is, as we saw, coming down the staircase. She walked underneath some antlers. She too is introduced from coming from the top of the camera. It's very eerie, almost unease. It shows signs of being unease that she does not talk. She's very silent. She opens the book. Now, for what I understand, for what I read, Lyanna's voice, the actress's voice, was post-processed to give it a slight electronic sound. It definitely comes across. It's unearthly. Now they're exchanging words, and she's really outlining Corso's job description, a book detective. It's pretty clever. It's also kind of snarky. Here we push into a close up. Her red lipstick certainly sticks out. It's very noticeable. You know, when you watch the movie with the sound down, you're really paying attention to the camera composition, and you begin to see what the director or cinematographer or the editor wanted to say. To walk a walk through Telfer's library. It looks bigger than what we were led to believe early in the film. This scene is part of Corso's detective work, and we will realize that from this moment, Lyanna was pulling a fast one. She was pulling the wool over his eyes. Um, you know, she's been saying things, but they don't mean anything. And frankly, at first watch, really unclear how important she was in the film. And if you had not noticed, Liana used the term mumbo jumbo. This word would be later repeated. There's a lot of cuts with transition using jump cuts. And now we see Corso hopping into the cab. He's going to drive away, and we're going to get our first glimpse at the mustache man. In the script, he's known as Bruno, called Bruno once, but not mentioned by name in the film. We do have a gardener, almost got ran over. And we're in the library, and there is an ancient laptop up there, which I don't think I've really paid attention to. Corso's doing his research. That's mighty fine for a detective. Apparently, this book is well known, well documented. Here comes another example of negative space coming up. He will take a book, and filling that space behind is the girl who fills that space. And she disappears. You know, come to think of it, no clue how she got to the second floor so fast. I suppose if there are no witnesses, she may have floated up there, but we wouldn't know that on our first watch. Here comes another foreshadow. It's very brief. I don't think we would at that time tie the engraving to the girl at. And there she is in the second floor. Corso puts on his glasses. She's gone again. Really efficient way of showing mystery. Hey, Corso's taking the stairs. He's returning to his apartment. Someone had broken in. Very interesting floor plan design. Now, this is either the 27th room on the first floor or the 7th room on the 12th floor. Corso steps in, and we're playing a lot of tropes. Ransacked apartment. Obviously, the culprits didn't get what they wanted. We're looking at the book again. We're at Bernie's bookstore. The Corso is telling Bernie about his plans, where he's going to travel. He's going to put Bernie's life in danger, obviously. You notice on over his left shoulder, we're seeing parts of the window. That's a little bit of a tease. We see a little bit more of it. There's a lot more engravings. He sees his own future. Here we go. We see it's the mustache man, followed by the girl. She's definitely wearing two different socks. Corso is packing. There's an interesting frame. There is a picture in there. It's just through the film, you can barely make out the sketch. It's being called to the door, and who has come to see him? Great mystery. Slowly on turning the lock, we open up, and it's Lyanna. He did a great job of cleaning up his place. I think I would have been a little bit too upset to clean up. So she's smoking. I would have to look up. I think they're called Little Devils. To correct me in the comments below. I'm too lazy to go to IMDb right now and pause the video to look up, but that's a little Easter egg. There's a picture of a young woman in the background in the shelf. Some have pointed that out as one of the very, extremely, very few clues about his past. Corso 2 has lots of books. Doesn't seem to match anywhere near the collection that what Telfer has or Balkan. And there's a little the play and seduction going on. They're even self-aware, even calling it out as a trope. Once again, Corso goes and helps himself to the bottle. I think he was rather a chintzy with the liquor. Well, that's barely a couple tablespoons, but they're not going to be drinking it anyway. So going on with the theme of the seven sins, now we are seeing lust. And as the question has been asked, what can go wrong? We're going to see a tattoo that has a meaning in the film as part of Lyanna's sect. Now comes the payoff or no payoff for Lyanna's plot. And comes Corso's rather ill-timed joke. And Lyanna's gone all crazy, biting Corso, and then comes the smash. Yep, and he passes out. Yeah, what could go wrong? No cell phones here. It's 1999. Now, what I think has happened, as some have speculated, as while Lyanna was here, her bodyguard Bruno was elsewhere. There are a couple other theories that we're going to touch upon very shortly. And here we are, as another abrupt jump cut. He's back at Bernie's rare books. We're going to get a first glimpse at the No Problem Man. Corso descends down to the lower floors. Doors open. The camera follows Corso walking in. So we only see what he sees. And we see Bernie by the spiral staircase, posing just like the engraving. Now there is a clue here as how he is posed. You can see that he's dangled by his left leg. And we know that one engraving out of three is different from the other two. So it's quite possible that whoever has the engraving that matches this pose is one of the suspects. As Corso makes sure that his book is not gone, there is debate about who committed this murder. I do have a video out there Um, and then a lot of the theories, the suspects, they're all valid. Okay, Corso is going, he's on his way to the airport. And here, this is Polanski's homage or mockery of the genre of film noir. New York, Taxi, Shadows. Um, somewhere I read that he felt that he needed to do something like this. Now, Corso wants to go to the nearest phone booth. Again, 1999, no cell phones. Now, as we're looking at this scene, pay attention to every detail, including the reflections in the glass, where he looks, who he's calling for. The Balkan is spiritual. He can be anywhere. Upper left-hand corner, there are three mysterious figures, and they are playing basketball or playing with the ball. They're playing. It's also next to the cab where we see the checkerboard or chess patterns. So Balkan here in the film, until we see him later, he again is just voice. He is everywhere and nowhere. You have to go through a messenger to find him. Literal messenger being his secretary. Um, Now he's looking up and around. It's almost as if he's looking for him into the skies, and he's gone. Balkan is not giving too many clues where he is. Again, the really a lot of abrupt jump cuts. He's in the plane. He's drinking again. I suppose that's peanuts. We see the engraving. Now he's walking to meet the Ceniza Brothers in Toledo. Walking past the scaffoldings. There's a boy has a voice. Remember that. Pedro and Pascal Ceniza, if I remember correctly. Of course, he's smoking. A lot of artifacts in the background. Ceniza also means ash, as far as I understand. Now, I was rather careless. Now, if you didn't know, the actors playing the brothers, it's one man uh, playing two roles. And if I remember correctly, the voice is Polanski himself. And they're going to talk about the book, how they sold it to the Telfers. And look in the background, the hanging sheets of reproductions, let's say. Now, there is a calendar in the background. I tried to zoom in to see if there was a clue there, but I didn't see one. Because frankly, we know where Corso is, but we don't know when he is. Also, what's very nice trivia that the two brothers are twins. They are dressed differently. One likes to smoke, one does not. But otherwise, they share very similar mannerisms. It's almost comical. Now, look and pay attention to how the brothers are very proud of this work. Um, Corso walked into a shop that specializes in reproductions, counterfeit. This book may have some counterfeit pages. They know it. Hey, there's some more tools, some more supplies, ink, and a whole lot of cigarette butts. And I spoke about this at length in other videos, how the brothers plead with Corso that Balkan must know that this book is real, is genuine, um, because they know that they fooled him. Now you can't see, there is not one cut without evidence of their work in the background. Um, this is what they do. Yes, senor, he says. Here, the audience learns that the three books, they all are unique in their own ways because hell has their heroes. Some danger from above. Corso runs, run, Corso run, and he escapes death. Is it a coincidence? I think not. Now Corso is in the dining car. Again, he's drinking. No signs of food. Looking at the engraving that may had predicted his ordeal. Even angels have mustaches. This is the genuine engraving. And by coincidence, we see the girl. She has her hands up, folded on on the rail there. I like to describe it as hidden. Now they're going to talk and introduce themselves. Now, if you listen carefully what the girl has to say, she's giving vague hints about her travels. As a young woman traveling Europe, it doesn't mean anything, but if you think of her as a near immortal being who's been on Earth a long time, then it has additional connotations. And being on this Earth a long time, she reads people well. Now, it was it was very interesting how she questioned Balkan and pretending that she does not know him, considering that she sat in one of his lectures. But it's very interesting. It's if she was being sincere, then she has no affiliation with Boris Balkan. Is tipped off here, and perhaps she just wasn't paying attention to the lecture, and she was there waiting for Corso to arrive. And Corso climbs out of another taxi, and he's at the estate of Victor Vargas. It's a pretty nice estate, even though it's considered run down, and the bell don't work. Now, Victor Vargas, if you don't know, he spends most of his fortune on property taxes, but he refuses to sell his house, and he tries to keep most of his collection as long as possible. Front door, window panel broken, never bothered to fix it. But he's a sweet, kind old man. His memory might be a little slow. I don't see him getting too many phone calls. He's carrying his violin. Not much furniture. Sold. No tapestries or curtain. Sold. But he does have time and the money for a fine brandy. Once again, his alcohol. There's some more bottles in the corner. I think this is a trope of 1970s television and film where no matter where you are, someone has bottles of liquor on a table in a corner somewhere. I haven't really kept track, but I think in most every scene, Corso is drinking something. And we're going to be introduced to the Vargas collection, the Vargas library. I don't know if that includes the books that are actually in the bookshelves in the background. If it was me, I would be putting my most valuable books there and not on the floor with the mice and rats. Now, Vargas is very proud of his collection. This may be his only sin. He certainly is generous and he's kind. He doesn't put much stock in greed or in money. And now he's pulling out the book. Now, this book is worth about $1 million in 1999 money. And Vargas is, as we will learn later, he is not a believer. He is pretty much, he owns it for the pride. He doesn't read it or he doesn't follow the teachings inside. He just wants the book. Yeah, he's not going to sell it at any price. That's probably his most strong statement, his most bold statement. Yet that is also a sign of his weakness, his Achilles heel. Well, no, Vargas has two books in his hands. He's got $2 million there. Well, this scene is also very effective because this is a technique Corso will use to sell his ideas. He wants access, and this is his pitch. And Vargas isn't just a crazy old kook who got lucky with a few books. He knows about books himself. You look in the background, I think there's another window panel that got replaced. It's a fine touch. Is the old man Vargas himself? He's playing his violin. Corso's examining his books. Yeah, this is an interesting scene where there are differences, like spot the differences, and it really got me. I really enjoyed these revelations. Corso never bothered to take off his jacket. The phone is ringing. Vargas will get up to answer it. This is my opinion that that's Balkan. Balkan is calling him up. He wants to pay him a visit and make an offer. Now we see that Corso is onto something. He just needs that third book. Now, one thing is interesting. If that was Balkan, why does Vargas not say anything? Okay, it's night. Corso is leaving the Vargas estate. There's a mysterious car waiting for him to step out. And he's got to jump out of his way. It's going to be another reveal. It's a platinum topped mustache man. And now we see riding on her horse is the girl. I think the hair that gave it away. Now, if you can pause, but you don't have to. Pay attention. When she leaves, there's a feather, a white feather that dropped. The kudos to others who noticed it. I never noticed it. I took it as a leaf, but that's supposed to be a sign. Perhaps it's a clue from the source material, as we have several different opinions of who the girl is. And Corso's drinking again at the hotel. Of course he is. Who wouldn't be? And it's 1999 again. You can smoke indoors in hotels and not bother looking at your phone because there are no cell phones. Strange pair of shoes, strange pair of socks. And he's going to run into the girl reading a book. Now, I'm going to invite the viewers here, the listeners, to look up the meaning of that book, look up the book and search with search Roman Polanski, and there is a really dark undertone about why this particular book was chosen. Um, but in the in film universe, I take it as a ancient being wanting to catch up on modern techniques of persuasion. That's how I would like to take it, and not the outside film universe meaning, which again is very, very interesting. Right, he's being called away. This is not uncommon. Again, there are no cell phones. How are you going to find anybody? You know, Balkan has himself a global network. And again, Balkan is only available by voice. He can be anywhere. Now he's going to talk. He's going to continue his conversation with Balkan. Balkan pays well, but he is sure a micromanager. This is Mr. G of CineG, and this is a feature-length commentary on the film The Ninth Gate, written and directed by Roman Polanski. It is a movie that I've seen many times, and I appreciate each time that I've watched it because I see new and interesting things. It also can show what you can do in an era without cell phones or the internet. Yeah, that don't work anymore. Well, he's been drinking again. You want to see Johnny Depp in his prime without his shirt on? Here's your chance. And it's the girl. There's no watch there, Johnny. All right, coming out of the hotel's central. Here, Corso figured it out that that was the girl who came and rescued him in front of Vargas' estate. Not sure why, but I've always enjoyed this cut with the camera right in front of them. And right there's one of the very few opportunities to see a hand exposed. It's going to walk to the pond. Even with her hand exposed, it's half covered by the jacket. I think there's a theme there. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And Vargas is swimming with the fishes. And there's that bottle. That's a sign there of something. I think it's The killer threw that bottle in there, refusing the offer of drink. At first watch, I thought he, took a swim that himself, voluntarily took a swim himself that he didn't want to leave, and he took his favorite bottle with him. But no, it's said later that the Balkan responsible for at least for the deaths in Europe. The phone, I think the phone was off the hook. Was gonna step on broken bottles. Yeah, an argument happened here. And again, the use of negative space where the book was. Pulling the what was left from the fire. No, Balkus doesn't care about money. Another jump cut between their modes of transportation. She shows rather callous attitude over loss of life. Again, it could be that has to do with her true age. Is she his guardian angel? Yeah, there. This is like an in-film joke. All right, this is a cameo appearance. Some want to see symbolism in the shell oil. Um, I'm not sure about that. I took it as just product placement. Right, he's going to see Gruber, his favorite concierge or hotel manager. The script gives a very colorful description of him. I forgot exactly, but it has something to do with he appears like a Prussian general. That's funny. And he's drinking again. As we watch Corso examine the books, I want to take this opportunity to say that this video is not sponsored by any bourbon company or scotch. Is that Johnny Walker on the table? Oh, Dean, you can do better. Right, he is in Paris, France, to the Kessler Foundation. No clue what that means. Right, he's going to meet one of Kessler's first staff member. This is like the receptionist or secretary. We don't we don't see any other means to make it to the second or perhaps third floor. In the script, she points to an elevator, but in the film, he has to take the stairs. And again, stairs. Taking stairs, not seeing taking the elevator is a theme. Now comes Kessler's next, let's say, checkpoint. I describe her as his chief of staff. and she looks just like the script describes. And he only gets 30 minutes, not one more. And we see the Baroness Kessler. It's not obvious yet. She does not have a right arm. She does love her scarf. That also is her weakness. And if you're wondering, guessing, her pronounced German accent is deliberate. It comes from the script. Matter of fact, uh, the actor that it was not the first pick of Polanski, Barbara Jeffords, if I remember correctly. But Polanski wanted someone who can speak English, sounding like a German, living in Paris. She fills the trope as cool old lady, or she is mean but fair, or she's nice but firm. Now we get to see the Kessler Library collection. Now, what's very interesting is she's proudly a follower or a research. She likes to research the occult. Um, she says she made $1 million, which at first you're thinking, wow, that sounds pretty good. But considering that may have been 40 years ago, um, how much she was making per year, perhaps not all that impressive considering the taxes that she had to pay. But that's a good annuity. Now, after watching this a couple times, I never assumed she made her money writing books. I figured it was a hobby. She's a baroness. She made her money in land, hence the title. There's also some vague hints in the film. They're not vague in the script where she could have, would have made her money. Now, the script is available online. This is what Polanski wrote. He did write the screenplay. Let's just say that her history has angered many in the revisionist community. Also, keep in mind that how Kessler knows a lot about everybody. Um, she is either the film's narrator or she has this uncanny power of knowing everyone's history. And that's how I would rather think of it. Um, Otherwise, she's just a crazy old lady who loves gossip. And I've always got a kick how she describes Lyanna as that creature. Oh my. Now, it's very interesting how we're giving hints, perhaps why Andrew Telfer left the living. It's just a hint. And Corso spills that the Telfer's dead. But have you ever noticed he never spills that Vargas is dead? It's very interesting. And here we go with Kessler. She's going to reveal her missing right arm very soon. And there it goes. Now, what I really like about that scene is it shows the severity of her lost right arm, is that she was very deliberate to use her left and conceal her right. But her in her anger, she went instinctive and used her right arm anyway. The chief of staff loves oranges. This is an Easter egg of the director that I understand, but it also shows she has a weakness herself. It's oranges. Yeah, Bruno's waiting. Now he's gonna jump into the cafe, and he's drinking again. The guy in the background, he's not making much in tips today. Yeah, they're both smoking, so there's some parallels there, some mirroring. Another drink. You know, if I was traveling around the world, not eating, suffering jet lag, and I downed 4 bourbons, I think I would be a little bit tipsy. Well, it looks all clear. Well, guess not. Now it's a little bit of a game of cat and mouse. Stairs again, very tall stairs. Even the music lets us falsely believe that the coast is clear. And then comes the figure. They're running. You see how clumsy Bruno is. I take this that he's a threat, but he's not very good at fighting. And the girl floats. Is one subtle hint of her supernatural abilities. And she gets knocked in the nose. And he runs off. Glass is broken. He takes a shoe. Bruno and shoes is a theme. It's not the last time that he will be associated with a loose shoe. Now the girl and Corso are going to join forces. Now we see the full extent of Corso's relationship with Gruber. He'll make your reservations. He'll get your room clean. He'll also do. He'll contact Interpol and get the background information of anyone you ask and where they stay, their room rates, what time they wake up in the morning. Quite a minibar. Probably costs an arm and a leg. It's also a little bit of a Chekhov's gun, introducing an item to be an item, object, or prop to be used later. The girl has her hair down. Her eyes changes color. Don't think I caught that the first time. They change color again and again. And she's doing some sort of blessing. I've read others have their own interpretation of what that could possibly mean. And the phone rings. And he's talking to Balkan. Now he's inside the phone booth. And many times when Corso is speaking with Balkan, he's in a very tight enclosed area. And Balkan is continuing his ethereal presence of showing his voice. This is different than the script. After Corso's first failed attempt to look at the book of the Baroness Kessler, here Balkan just says, try again. Well, in the script, he carries some currency to help persuade the Baroness to listen to him. But in the film, they do salvage some of it, and we're going to see pretty soon coming up. Hotel clerk passed out. Wakes up. Oh, nothing to see here. I've been awake all this time. The girl's gone. Disappears. Does that often. What's very also very interesting is considering the era when this film was made. There's lots of what I call dead space. He walks in, the room is empty. He's still standing. He stalls. He sits down. A lot of time goes by. I think people's attention spans have really shortened. I think if this was made today, we would hear a lot of fast-paced music, a lot of cuts, with jump cuts, a drum roll, and we would have seen him put the book behind the refrigerator. But as you see, it's very methodically paced. We even the Polanski bothers to have us see Corso struggle pulling the fridge out, and we hear some sound effects of the ice or bottles rattling. Now we have to see him put it back in. We have to see him uh, fish for another bottle. And will we see him take a swig? Yes, he's drinking again. Right, why is the chief of staff leaving? We'll find out why later. He's looking at his watch as if he knows how long he has. I don't think he does. He's taking the stairs again because there is no elevator, which begs the question, how does the Baroness Kessler make it up and down the building? And Corso is going to repeat the line given to him. He is the wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, in the film, we will see that he's bringing a gift as something he hopes the Baroness would appreciate. It's working so far. He left the door open, as far as I understand. This door is left open. I think the chief of staff should be fired. But moving on, we see the Baroness Kessler at her desk, and she is finishing lunch, enjoyed with a half bottle of champagne. Alcohol is certainly a motif with the Ninth Gate. Of course, so is offering his gift from a distance. And she definitely plays the skeptic very well. It's going to take a lot to convince her otherwise. And if you have a chance, uh, take a look at my video, Baroness Kessler, to learn more about what kind of currency Corso used, according to the script, to get access to the Kessler's copy of the book. Yeah, you don't just walk into the Baroness' house and tell her that she's wrong. And here we go with the pitch as he used on Vargas. They're going to compare notes. It's going to be a great revelation. Notice how the camera is tightly focused on Corso and somewhat out of focus on Kessler. It's a very interesting decision. The cinematographer would have definitely had the choice of trying to focus on one or the other. They could have played with the lighting enough to try to have them both equally in focus. Seamless match cut right there. Some more clues are going to be popping out regarding the relationship between Balkan and Kessler. Here the smoking has been subverted. Nice bit of comedy. And we see the tower there. Sorry, Frida, I saw it first. Boris. So they've known each other for a very long time. Playing something that could be described as chess. Is that related to the taxi? Being hit from behind. Oh, wonder what could that mean? Open doors. The Kessler Foundation has open doors everywhere. Now, this scene, we don't know if this is a clever camera work or this is a point of view. The music does not tip off the answer yet. That's pretty that's pretty clear that the engraving of someone being hit from behind is him. For the second time, he gets knocked out cold over a book. Now comes a very indignant uh, vision of the Baroness. She keeps running into the window there. What's the matter with her? And the scarf. And she races through the door and into hell. Right. He's going to grab all his things and look for the book. And comes a scene that once you see, you cannot unsee. Oh no, it's not the book. It's Kessler's wig. You probably overlooked it. And we see what happened. The chief of staff's love of oranges cost her boss's life. She's fired too. Now, some want to have fun and say that this is the devil's dog. I think it's just a dog. Perhaps the dog from the engraving. It's something weird. So Kessler worked off the second floor? Maybe third. And he's drinking again. If you want to have some fun, why don't you find yourself your favorite bottle of adult beverage, a shot glass, and every time you see Dean Corso drinks, take a shot yourself. See how long you last. And Corso's having that bad feeling in his gut. We're going to have another example of a negative space. Pulls the fridge back out, and there's nothing there where there was a book. No, he's trying to get help from the world's worst hotel clerk. And he's being sent into the booth. It's not the voice of God, but it's Balkan. He wants to start off having good news. It's also interesting that throughout the movie, Balkan is heard, not seen. Not true in the script. Not true. He does meet Corso in a cafe between the visits to Kessler. And this is where he gets his currency from. Because Balkan knows Kessler a long time, knows all her secrets. Now, that was thrown out in the movie, perhaps not necessary. They made their point, and that's fine. But sometimes it's really fun and interesting to see a backstory about who the characters are. And you'll get that by reading scenes that were thrown out, was fully intended by the screenwriter or director, especially when the screenwriter is the director. Another good example for movies like this would be Angel Heart. Alan Parker also wrote the screenplay, and there's many good scenes in there that he wrote that never made it to film. Girl has a knack of showing up. Corso makes a mistake of assaulting her, and there you go. She had many years on Earth to learn many different self-defense techniques. And Gruber steps in to apologize for the joke of the hotel clerk. So this also discounts a theory that the girl cannot be seen by anyone but Corso. But Corso pointed her out to them, and they're clearly looking at her. The hotel clerk disappeared. Continuity error, or has he already been fired? Right, they're going to the posh hotel where Lyanna Telfer is at. Hey, there's the elevator. We will see him step in, but we do not see him use it. Only with Balkan do we see them ride the elevator. Now it's his turn to ransack the room. He's too late. There's Lyanna's cigarette. They're coming down the flight of stairs. There's couples. I don't know why this couple's using their fingers to point out some expensive jewelry. Right, they need a ride. They need to follow Lyanna. And now we see a Viper. The script reads a Lamborghini. So if you ever hear me describe this car as a Lamborghini, it's because I was researching the script. I read the script more than I watch the movie when I try to make these videos. They're hopping into a Dodge Viper. Some say this is a play on the snake in the Garden of Eden. Ha ha. The Dodge Viper began its production in 1991. The last year it was produced was 2017. Corso opens up the glove box, and what we see, a pair of sunglasses and a keffiyeh. Now this is going to open up a clue of the future as they try to follow Lyanna and her bodyguard without being seen. They have to come up with a plan. And with the flash of an eye, we see the girl in the headscarf. While this looks very convenient and perhaps comedic, this is an Easter egg or foreshadowing. So what do we see? We see the girl in a disguise. She appears as somebody else. Now remember that as the story continues. All right, with another blink of an eye, she loses the keffiyeh, puts the car in reverse, and upsets the truck driver driving the express cargo. And he shows his displeasure. That always works. A little salute there. Now they have to decide which way. They're going to keep driving, and it becomes dusk all of a sudden. Headlights are on. And one thing to note with films made today, I don't think we would have all this quiet time. They're driving, they slow down, they turn around. I think people's attention spans have dropped significantly. Take a look at the reflection. This is another example of using reflection in glass. It's pretty nice, I think. Now they're on the trail of Saint Martin, walking through the village. They're gonna look for Lyanna's chateau. They need directions. And for some reason other than the theme of elevations, who's living upstairs, who's working downstairs, they're gonna come across with a French baker, a humble man. That's why he's on the basement instead of the third or fourth floor. And he points and he walks away. You're listening to a feature-length commentary on the film The Ninth Gate, written and directed by Roman Polanski. I'm your commentator and host, Mr. G of CineG. It appears Andrew's money was put to good use. Not bad for someone who was once penniless. Somebody had to light all those fires. It's not a job that I would want to do. It's a gathering of wealthy people to a party by invitation only, dressed in costume. No outsiders allowed. No, I'm not talking about Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick. This is still the Ninth Gate. Lots of hired help. Remember, this is a group that Baroness Kessler described as old and bored millionaires with their wrinkled bodies. It's a pretty large place, lots of rooms, lots of windows. Now, earlier we saw the girl break in, actually teaching Corso how to do it by climbing. And here he's learning to do that. They're going to do it again by scaling the wall. And here, this is the moment where they happen to stumble into Lyanna's bedroom. If you think about it, it's come full circle. That in the beginning, someone was spying on Corso. Now it's Corso doing the spying. He's spying and seeing a lot, actually. Now, there's been some theories that the girl is invisible, not being seen. Like right here, she's just standing, admiring the drama. But that moment, Lyanna clearly acknowledges the girl's presence. Well, this is awkward. Bruno has little to say, a man of little words. Lyanna looks like a ventriloquist holding a dummy. That might have been his only line. Now we're looking at them taking the stairs. They are descending and descending. Does the chateau look taller in the inside than the out? There goes Bruno. There's the shoe again. Bruno and the shoe. Not good luck. This may be the sin of wrath. And the girl looks mighty impressed. As you see, Corso is dressed in the robe. He will infiltrate. The girl is in her street clothes. She has no intention of going down there amongst the coven. She takes her role as an observer. He's positioned to the right, so we have clear look at the doors, expecting something to walk through there. It's a subliminal message. We're being prepped. And he's quoting mumbo jumbo again. This is a word that Lyanna used much earlier. It's a it's a clue that uh, differentiates her beliefs, mumbo jumbo, and Balkan's beliefs. He's going to take his book back. He did pay for it. Now we've seen Lyanna use her a crazy get into her crazy mode earlier with Corso. She's going to do it again with Balkan, and we're going to see how far it takes her. No one is going to save her. Balkan has some superior strength, superhuman strength that appears. And the girl's going to show for the second time her flying abilities. She wants to observe. She does not want to interfere. Balkan's mighty proud of himself. And that's a little bit over the top, but it makes its point. Yeah, that's funny. Now look for the one person who disrobes completely. Once you see that, you cannot unsee it. And we learn that Balkan is responsible for the other killings. It's unclear if that included Bernie or only those in Europe. Balkan drives away, which may be the only example that we see him sit in a chair. I do have a video about Boris Balkan and my crazy theory how we see him only stand. And that's a good comeback. Her eyes change color again. So it went from dead of night to dawn. No idea how long he's been trailing Balkan. Now another trope about film noir, as we see in other films like Angel Heart, is his clothes slowly throughout the film gets deteriorated, worn down. And in some ways we see this here. Even Harry Angel in Angel Heart was tossed into the water. Now he's in a cafe, and this is the first time we see him enjoying a meal. This might be a sign of a character arc. He did not show respect for food earlier, quite a disdain for it, in fact. Traded the bourbon for wine. There's a couple of young men in the background playing foosball. Could be another example of game playing that we've seen in the engravings. His journey for knowledge is not an easy one. He can't simply just appear. He has to find ways to make it there. He's going to hitchhike here. He's going to hitchhike there. There's a rainbow there. I don't know if that was post-processed or it was actually present during filming. And there's the Devil's Castle. There's Balkan's vehicle. So are we to presume that this property is Balkan's? Otherwise, what matter does it make that he saw it first, unless he bought it first? Corso snooping around. He always takes the high ground when he's looking for Balkan. Now he's looking down, and just like Balkan earlier, he's above, seeing what is happening in front of him. Balkan clearly has 9 engravings. He has with him a lantern, the last copy of the book, and a thermos. I always figured the thermos was some sort of elixir, because we certainly don't see him eat or drink, at least for pleasure. Some say that the girl's face can be seen in that shot. You tell me in the comments below. Now in the script, Corso wants his check. Balkan doesn't want to pay. But in the film, Balkan wants to pay, but Corso wants the book and the engravings. In fact, the film final lines of dialogue, the confrontation between the two, this speech is abbreviated from what was originally written in the script. Corso has a slightly different personality in the script. But all Corso can't pull the trigger, he hesitates. And he's stuck. Do we still think that Balkan doesn't have superhuman strength? Why do we not see Balkan sit at a table throughout the film? He's always taken advantage of his stature, his height. But the answer why is going to be clear in a few moments. It's all about contrast. He's not a man who bows down to anyone except the Prince of Darkness. Now, I wonder for those who watched it the first time, did you expect something supernatural to happen at this moment? Or was it clear that Balkan was delusional and chasing a fantasy? Here we see him kneel. This is the only moment he's humble. And again, outside of the killing people, he has rather noble qualities. Balkan is describing what he's feeling. Do we believe him? Will he become some sort of supernatural being? He doesn't feel any heat. His hands are through the fire. Corso taunts him. Now comes the moment of truth. Is Corso showing wrath or is he showing mercy? Well, it seems that everyone who touches the book dies. And do we know where the girl was hiding? And she's going to use her eyes to hypnotize Corso. And as we watch these moments not safe for work, pay attention to her face as it keeps changing. Demonic, but clearly faces of other women. You may not catch that the first time or even the second time. And again, this goes back to her wearing the headscarf. It was foreshadowing her abilities. And another engraving, a particular engraving we will see, also foreshadowed this moment. And this scene was brought to you by Shell Oil. Shell, the better gasoline. Now, if you look up the history of the harlot of Babylon, you'll read that she has been seen many times throughout history and disappear. He returns to Toledo. Scaffolding is gone. Listen for the boy's cry. You can barely hear it, but there is some sort of a time loop or time skipping. The Ceniza brothers are gone. Here are two workmen. They're played by the same actor, each of them. Same actor played the Ceniza brothers, both of them. Like the Ceniza brothers, each of them are dressed a little bit differently. Like the Ceniza brothers, the one who greets Corso smokes, the other does not. Alright, spoiler warning. In the film, it isn't certain what happened to the Ceniza brothers. Looks like they's up and left before the authorities found them, or Balkan. But in fact, the Ceniza brothers have been gone a very long time because they've been dead a very long time. The true page, taken from the book, left on top of the shelf, perhaps for years. And the true engraving, written by LCF. It's the girl riding the beast. The beast snorts smoke, by the way. Corso returns to the Dark Tower. The doors open and he is embraced in bright light. The bright light bookends the film as it opened. Dean Corso walks into obscurity. What will happen? What will Corso see? As the film draws into the end credits, the only clue we have is in its soundtrack, if you choose to believe it's an epilogue. Its melody is sad and regretful. It's not triumphant nor inspirational. It's almost as if Corso walked into a conclusion that was made long ago. So that's it. That was The Ninth Gate, written and directed by Roman Polanski and starred Johnny Depp. Thank you for watching this with me, and leave a comment below what you think makes the film rewatchable. This is Mr. G of CineG saying, if you're going to pour gasoline on a fire, expect to be burned. Check out other videos on the channel. Thanks for watching.